I'd like for you to share with the people how difficult it was to promote Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Like when you first, like in the late 80s and the garage days, those stories.
When we arrived here, we did not have the internet. Computer was something that was a green screen and just dark screen and green letters, but not much in image. And everything was done paper-wise. In Kung Fu, Karate, all the other styles were already established by being in the movie. People used to see the movies and relate it to, oh, I want to do karate. I see a karate movie, I see a Kung Fu movie, I want to go and do that.
Right.
Jiu-Jitsu did not have anything with that exposure. And me and my brothers, we end up going to, we have our garage, which we end up turning our garage into mat. It was our original first school in Redondo Beach. We're going to school to learn how to speak English, and in that English learning process, we're meeting people, and we invited them to come to our house. Hey, come on, let me show you Jiu-Jitsu. And then he liked it so much, then he called his friend, which called another friend, and suddenly have a group of 10, 15 guys 3 days a week in our garage.
Was that the intention already to start a school, or was this you were just sharing both Brazilian and the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture?
You know, when we came here, I was the last brother actually to arrive in U.S. One of my brothers, Higan, came here in U.S. with the only idea to learn how to speak English and have a chance to train wrestling. Back this time, Rickson Gracie was already here with a jiu-jitsu school in his garage. Then he heard that Higan was here, he invited Higan. Then Higan said, okay, in my spare time, I'm going to be teaching and training wrestling. But that time, before anything, jiu-jitsu was already, his school was already successful in his garage. My brother Higan had no time to teach, to go to train wrestling, anything. Then he called my older brother in Brazil, Carlos, said, hey, come on down here. And back then, jiu-jitsu in Brazil was kind of a flat, not much happening.
Right.
And my brother Carlos said, okay, let's go and I'll spend some time there and we'll see. Then he brought my younger brother with him. Then suddenly now we have 3 brothers here. And grew so much. And they have a situation that they end up leaving the school. And they learn English, they train wrestling, they're about to go back to Brazil. But all the students that they taught jiu-jitsu came to them and said, hey, I want to still train under you guys.
Right.
They bought the mats and took to my brother's house. The students made the school. My brothers had no intention to have a school in their garage. Then one thing followed the other. They start with that few guys and they start bringing friends. We start learning English, going to the high schools, and we met a wrestling coach, which he sent all his wrestler students into our class. We used to go to the wrestling class. And suddenly, before UFC came along, we have, I don't know, more than 100 students. But we have the difficulty to be accepted in the martial arts community because a lot of other people felt as a threatening point. And on our view, it wasn't a threat, it was just the other side that most people don't train, that's on the ground. Everybody was exceptional standing, but whenever they go to the ground, they're not sure what to do. And we knew what to do. And we visit a lot of schools to try to bring the other half. Hey, we have this.
Right.
But a lot of instructors, like, they felt threatening. Oh, it's a business. And I said, no, we just want to add. We're not competing with you. None of them invited us. Same thing happened with our cousin, then Jorge, he ended up creating that show, the UFC, which, when they put on national TV, weak guy, skinny guy, looks like a chess player,
right,
going there, fighting and choking everybody and doing what he did, and it's, I mean, the image it said it all. Then after that, a lot of people started searching, looking for us, looking for jiu-jitsu, and from that point on, we see where we are today.
There's a legend about police officers actually were called in one of your garage sessions, and then they actually became interested. If you could elaborate on that story.
Yeah, on Saturday used to be our open match in our garage. And that particular day we have everybody showing up. I mean, the whole block was full of parking, the cars parking on the same street.
Right.
But that was early in the morning, 9 o'clock. And the whole neighborhood was like, is there going on a party already this early or something? It's so many people. Somebody called the police, and when everybody was training, because the place was kind of small, we had people standing outside the garage looking into the train. Whenever it's their turn, they come in. The other people has to step out. Then it's a police car arriving, and the officers looking like, what's happening here? Then as we explain to them what it is, they say, hey, I want to come back next Saturday and try. And he just told us to make sure you guys spread the cars out through the neighborhood, don't park everybody on the same street. He came in and became our student. Then he brought another officer. And I'm sure today Jiu-Jitsu is part of the police
makeup and training.
They know they have to train on the ground.
So now we've emphasized to people out there that it wasn't that easy to promote jiu-jitsu, where it was treated as the ground fighting portion of the school.
Yeah.
Now, let's fast forward quite a bit towards Abu Dhabi. When did your gi to no gi matriculation happen, and why did it happen?
What a lot of people missed was on the beginning of our school in US, we had no jiu-jitsu tournament.
Correct.
We were in search of something that works the ground. We went to see Fort Sambo tournament. We became national and Pan American champions. We went to fight some judo, small tournaments. We end up winning. We went to some wrestling tournaments, which we did pretty well without knowing wrestling much. Then one of our students, Rico Rodriguez, through a friend, he ended up going to 1998 to that event, Abu Dhabi tournament, which, again, not many people knew about it. And he came back and said, hey, they're going to have another tournament in 1999. He mentioned to the organization that he would like to invite his instructors. In that case was Higan, my brother, and myself, to go in 1999. And we tried to find out about it, and we heard so many good things of how they promote the sport, how do they treat the sport. In the Abu Dhabi, basically, they come up with a rule. The rules were basically taken out of a little bit of wrestling,
okay,
a little bit of judo, and a little bit of jiu-jitsu. And they end up taking the gi out. And what they made was possible for wrestlers, for judo fighters, and jiu-jitsu fighters to go along and compete. Because the rules were not favored more jiu-jitsu or judo, wrestling. It's a combination of all styles.
All ground. Welcome.
All on the ground. And they come up with a fantastic rule that on the beginning of the first 3 fights until the final, they have a 10-minute round. The first 5 minutes, no point system will be involved. I mean, you have 5 minutes to do whatever you want in terms of trying to get your partner.
Right.
And if you reach some positions that gets points on you, they're not going to be counting until 5 minutes.
Mark.
And after 5 minutes, then you have some established controlling positions that, and we saw that as a great opportunity. We grew up in Brazil, very hot weather, and almost like summertime all year round.
Right.
And training with gi and without the gi for us was no difference.
So it was pretty common in practice
Pretty
in Brazil.
common.
Okay.
Summertime is so hot, we hang the gi and okay, let's go no gi. And especially because of the history of how Jiu-Jitsu established themselves in Brazil through some MMA fights, which back then we used to call Vale Tudo. Then we trained no gis to complete what it was no difference for us, to be honest. It was just more for the weather than actually for the technique.
Because the American schools, they were labeled as either a no-gi or a gi school, but you guys happen to train in both by fundamental and weather, but by default, okay.
And I think the foundation of Jiu-Jitsu apply for gi or no gi, it doesn't matter. It's a control.
Now, in basketball terms, they call it I'm hot or I'm in the zone. After your first 2 rear naked chokes, which is now your signature, what were you going through physically at that point and mentally Were you saying like, I'm going to get everyone in a rear naked choke, or what was going through your mind at that point?
I think going back to how we learn jiu-jitsu in Brazil, the rules were almost no rules.
Right.
When you're fighting. And we always learned in our school back then that we want to get the choke, or we want to get the arm, we want to go to the finish. That was something that established how good you are. Evidently, have matches that both fighters are very equal, but back then you see both guys trying to go and get something out of that, or choke or armbar or something. Going to the Abu Dhabi just felt would be a great opportunity, and that's how I fight. And that's how I teach my students to fight. And that's I still do the game that I learned from my school in a little bit before 80s. And going there in Abu Dhabi, evidently fighting people from different countries. They are the best of their country. Doesn't mean they're all on the same level. And I just figured that out going there. I did something that I do every day in my school, and ended up being fantastic. And I just felt that that tournament in 1999, I would not change anything on my preparation or how I did, because it was 4 matches, 4 submissions in less than, I guess, 4 or 5 minutes. In less than 20 minutes, you end up winning 4 matches, basically. And it wasn't a surprise for me. It was the way I trained for, but it was great. I think people end up seeing a style which is not my style. It's just how we train and we fight jiu-jitsu.
Everyone has a lineage and tree where they come from. So you are a end result of Rickson Gracie's tree trunk, and you are a branch that comes from the previous Gracie lineage. What differentiates your teaching method from the other Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools? What do you feel?
I think it's more than jiu-jitsu itself, the way I learned and the impact jiu-jitsu creates on my life was that believe in yourself, evidently, self-esteem. You have some good days, some bad days, but that will not stop you to go back and try it again, train harder until you accomplish what you want. More important for me than just get a student gets good in jiu-jitsu is for him to succeed. I want him to, if he's feeling he's not happy, and the thing is, he'll get in shape, he'll be a much better person, because jiu-jitsu put him in situations that I always explain then, you compare exactly how you go in your life. You have some days, you have some people that put you down, you have to get your head up, keep moving, keep reaching for your dream, keep doing what you believe you're gonna get. Don't ever let anybody say that you cannot. You can do whatever you want. All you need is to believe in yourself. And jiu-jitsu for me is an excuse to make that touch in people. That's how I learn. It's not like my brothers' schools are the same thing. Everywhere you go in our lineage of learning, the jiu-jitsu is the easiest part. To make someone good fighter, that's easy. But to make someone good person, a champion outside the match, that's our challenge. And that's what the lineage of my learning and my family wants to pass on.
When I interview Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, I won't tell you yet what their answer is, but what do you feel, which belt matriculation is the hardest? Is it blue from purple, purple to brown, or brown to black? Or is it different for different people, or is there a common?
If you ask me what belt I am today, and I'll tell that I'm a white belt that never gave up. I'm still going, I'm still learning every single day with my students on my training. It's a new technique, it's maybe a new way to approach someone, but I'm a white belt that never gave up. And that's the mentality I want my students to get. The belt is the least thing you have to worry. Because you have experience on the mat, and maybe you have a guy which is a higher belt end up getting choked by a lower belt. You are what you are every day. Just don't quit. Don't give it up. And that's what I tell them. I'm a lifelong white belt that never quits. And keep learning every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to learn. I feel like the learning curve for jiu-jitsu, you just can't stop. at this particular point.
And again, jiu-jitsu is just an excuse for. It's a long life learning every day, and everybody has something to teach someone.
Now, what do you think affected the progression in a good way for jiu-jitsu? MMA or no-gi grappling? What spun the wheels to push hard?
I think in MMA, you need to have a portion of the groundwork. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to have that portion that allows you to feel safe on the ground and also danger. But you don't have to be a black belt on the ground. Because it's important people understand is the difficult for a lot of MMA fighters is knowing the right amount of each style they can put it in. As an example is we have a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that are fantastic grapplers, but they could not find the right tune to mix their good boxing with their grappling. They end up doing too much of one, which stopped them to succeed and become a champion. They're fantastic on the ground, but they end up just boxing. And they're good boxers, but they're just trying the ground. Is it difficult for the MMA fighter today is to find the right tune of their styles. And one thing for sure is they gotta have a foundation style to succeed. All the guys that are champions today, they have a background, or as a wrestler, or as a boxer, or as a karate, or as a jiu-jitsu guy. They have one style that is very strong. All the guys that just have like a little bit, they come fast and they go away fast. For you to stay in the game, you gotta have
one solid foundation.
Yes.
Do you feel there are tons of holes or a lot of holes in MMA fighters' fundamental jiu-jitsu game? And if so, what are like the common
it's evidently
problems?
I do respect anyone that step out on the arena, on the octagon to fight. It's not everyone that can do that. But it's important that it's a teamwork. They need good coaches. They need someone on the back that can see how they can get this guy and make him good. It's not just letting him go and do everything he wants. It's a coaching aspect that I don't blame the fighter. I blame his coach.
Everything led to June 2011. The ceremony of earning a red black belt is big, and it's really soulful for your accomplishment. For Rickson to present that must have been amazing. And how did you feel when the ceremony took place?
Going back just a few years, not many years, just a few years.
Okay.
A lot of people learn jiu-jitsu after jiu-jitsu became that worldwide explosion. At our time back in Brazil, mainly in Rio de Janeiro, it's a small fraction of the city, more on the south side, was very involved with jiu-jitsu. Evidently going back to many years prior, which when the Grace family accept the challenge and did everything in the 80s. And I was able to be in that particular time, was the 80s to the 90s, was a huge change in the whole decade. A lot of generation was changed by jiu-jitsu mentality. It's something that I haven't seen yet, that change in aspect of people get involved with jiu-jitsu in a healthy way, very positive way. I think jiu-jitsu made that generation, and all the people that I know from that generation is still active doing or teaching jiu-jitsu. They're not going to go away. They're going to still, for the rest of their life, in that, knowing that how important jiu-jitsu was for them and how important it is for them to pass that on. At that particular time, we have few tournaments a year, sometimes 2 or 3. And as any kid, we go and watch Superman or Batman.
Right.
And we want to be like Batman. We want to have those tools. And we need a superhero. We need someone that we can look up and say, okay, I want to take that path. In my case, jiu-jitsu was our environment. Could be basketball, could be soccer. And we have one guy in the family that was the pack leader. Not for much what he was saying, but the way he was doing. And Rickson was that guy for me in the 80s when I saw as a young teenager watching, and I said, man, I want to, everything that he's doing, the fighting, the movements, the techniques, that was impressive and make you go back to the school and say, oh, I want to do what he did. And keep in mind, back then, you take a picture, which might not come out good, and take at least 30 days to be print.
Right.
And if you don't see it, you're not going to. And every time he's fighting the training, and being involved and have the privilege to grow up in the Gracie family, we are a small clan. The Machados are a small clan inside the Gracie family. We have the privilege to see and train a lot of the cousins and learn straight from them. And one time I got invited for Rickson to go and train with him. He said, man, you're fast, you're good. I want to come by and train with me some mornings. And I don't recall for how long, but it was a few years just taking my bus, waiting the curb. He opened the school, we go and train for maybe an hour.
And around how old were you then?
14, 15 maybe. For me, was the vision I have of Jiu-Jitsu was one thing, and after start training, learning from him was another thing. You have, in all sports, you have hockey before Wayne Gretzky and after Wayne Gretzky. You have basketball before Michael Jordan and after Michael Jordan. Well, you have recently one. You have golf before Tiger Woods and golf after Tiger Woods. Now you have, in my time, was you have the Jiu-Jitsu before Rickson, then you have the Jiu-Jitsu after Rickson. And for me, he was that guy in the same caliber of all those guys for learning and someone that you follow the steps. It was the superhero of my teenager time. Boy, he was a cool guy in a way, very simple. His simplicity, I was shake your hand, smile, knows your name, know who you are. He's a cousin, it makes fun. It was something that it did change and impact my life a lot. Come back to America here, we have a huge organization that is doing a great job, making Jiu-Jitsu very popular. Then I don't recall exactly how the conversation started, but one of my friends mentioned that, "Oh, how long have you been black belt?" And I think that almost 26 years as black belt. And he said, "Do you know that when you're 25 years by the organization in Brazil, you should be awarded as a black and red belt if you're still active and not competing but teaching involved in the sport?"
Right.
I said, "No, I didn't know that." Then on the following week at the tournament, Rickson was there, his son, Kron was about to get ready for a fight, and saw each other and started talking to each other. And I have a little idea from the organization that for my students to compete, I have to be a member, which says black belt, 2 stripes. I don't think they did that because for you to have students under you, have to be 2 stripes. They sent me a paper that I fill up some time ago, ask who gave you a black belt, and I put my black belt was the president of the organization. It's been a lot of years, probably before you born. They never replied back or anything, which doesn't make any difference to me. But then Rickson saw that, like, oh, 2 years, how long have you been black belt? It's going to be 26 years. And the conversation started, and the red and black belt came. And he said, "Paul, can you give me the honor to give you this belt?" I said, "What?
Right.
Can I have the honor to get that from you?" And after so many years doing what you do, I wasn't even thinking about black or red belt. And we ended up setting up something that was, I think was Sunday or Saturday, and on Tuesday morning, I said, "Hicks, I got to take a camera, I got to take pictures, because I don't know if I'm going to be getting a red belt 50 years from now, but it's something really important for me in my life. And more than that, getting that from you. That's what a statement. I mean, what can I say from one that is a living legend in what we do, give me that belt. It's like, whoa. What can I say? What a statement. I mean, nobody can say anything.
No, it's essentially like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Like, man, that was...
People who get those awards from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame are in their 60s, 70s.
And that was a huge flashback in my whole life to see step by step how I get this point. And somehow I felt that life recognized that to me. And he was the person to deliver that to me. I mean, I don't believe in coincidence. It did need to happen, and it was from him and could not be for anybody else. I'll probably not accept for anybody else. And it was a wonderful time, and what can I say? It brings me so much joy in what I did. And if I have to do all over again, I will not change a thing. Do it again, the same way. And
Thank you so much for what you do in the martial art.
you're welcome, man. We're gonna keep doing.
All right, thank
We're
you so
not-
much.
Plug 1 2 TV.